Labor Day weekend. I hope all is well. Today I'm going to continue with the G.U.M series, and today's topic is U stand for use me. So I'm going to give you the definition of use, and it stands for take, hold, or deploy as a means of accomplish a purpose or achieving a result. So spiritually, when we're doing a service to God, we're denying our plans, our methods, our agenda, and ways of doing things, and we must ask God to step in and use us for His purpose and His will and not ours. And there's 5 requirements of being used by God, but today I'm just going to do 2 because it was just so much information and it spoke to me and reminded me what I needed to do as a praise dance leader. So number 1, the first requirement is you must always seek God, and you can go with me to Psalms chapter 105 verse 4, and that reads, "Look to the Lord and His strength and seek His face always." So there's 2 things that we want to do within that verse. Number 1, we want to seek God's strength. We want to seek a spiritual strength and ask Him to assist us with His grace in doing His purpose. And I'll give you a perfect example, and I know a lot of leaders experience this. So every now and then you'll come across a dancer who thinks they know it all, they can do it better than you, and you know you need to sit down and they need to take over. What you want to do within that time when you're being challenged and constantly experience opposition, you want to take the time out and ask God for spiritual strength. You want to ask for His grace, to stand your ground, to have wisdom how to handle that situation, and to be confident as a leader. You don't want to, start compromising just to cater to that dancer. You are the leader. You need to be confident in who you are and who your identity, and stand your ground and let that person know, I'm the leader. God chose me to be in this position, and I'm going to do what I can to help and assist praise dancers on a spiritual level. So again, within that verse, we want to look God and ask Him for strength, to give us His grace to, endure those types of moments. Number 2, we want to look for God's face, and we want to look for God's favor, His loving kindness, His countenance, and just look to commune with Him always. So those are 2 things that we want to do when it comes to Psalms chapter 105 verses 4, and we're looking for strength in His face. And the second requirement is to be passionate about God's business, and go with me to Romans chapter 12 verse 11, and it reads, "Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord." So when it comes to never lacking in zeal, we shouldn't be lazy, we shouldn't lag behind, we shouldn't be lacking diligence when it comes to godly affairs. And those affairs include, praying, hearing from God, studying His word, and then teaching praise dancers, what we learn within our personal devotional time, and just helping them to come along and to mature within their spiritual growth when it comes to God. Another thing that verse touches on, it says keeping spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. So we're allowing our human spirit to be energized and to be governed by the Holy Spirit. We want to have an enthusiasm, we want to have a passion and a motivation to do God's will. We want to have a burning desire. So that's what it means when it talks about, serving the Lord with the spiritual fervor. Second topic that I want to touch on clues or symptoms of being useless. And there are times in leadership that we will experience this. So the negative side of being useless is, number 1, you feel burnt out. You're tired, you're irritable, you're agitated, you just don't want to be bothered. You begin to look for validation from others. We stop relying on seeking God's face, hearing what He has to say about us, and then we begin to search for other opinions. And we ask, how do you think I'm doing, with the praise dance leaders? How do you think I'm doing within my role? What do you think the kids are feeling? We begin to depend on too much about their opinions, and that can be very dangerous. Number 3, we become very lazy. That's definite signs and symptoms of being useless. And I'll break down laziness. We're constantly late to rehearsal. We don't want to be bothered. We feel that we become late. We'll cut down time. We don't have to stay there as the usual duration of that rehearsal. If we come like maybe 15-20 minutes late, then that's less time for us that we have to teach dance and do whatever we need to do within rehearsal. Another sign is we refuse to do prep work. We don't have an idea of what we want to do. We don't have a vision for the praise dance piece that we did. We refuse to pray about what we're doing before we come to rehearsal. As soon as we get there, we don't want to pray before the dance rehearsal. We want to jump right in and just get it over with. Another sign is we wait to the last minute to choreograph a piece. We'll get in there, we'll fumble, we'll try to look for steps and throw it together, and it's a complete hot mess. Another sign is we choose songs at the last minute. Oh, let me just pick the latest thing. You know, we don't prep for it, we don't think about it. We choose it because it's popular and everybody else is doing it. And the last sign, number 4, which is signs and symptoms of being useless to the ministry as a praise dance leader, is you have no passion, no motivation, no love for what you're doing. You don't have a desire. People have to twist and beg your arm to come out to rehearsal. It's become a burden to you, and you dread being in that position. You no longer want to do it. And if it reaches to that point, I would suggest that you either give it the position, take a sabbatical, let somebody else take over, you know, until you get yourself together and just re-energize. I do understand the responsibility of being a praise dance leader, and it can get tiring and you do need a break. But if you find yourself becoming abusive towards, you know, your praise dancers, and you don't feel like being bothered, and you have this attitude where you're not being able to be approached anymore, then you really need to take a step back. And don't be prideful and say, oh well, this person's going to take over and they're going to destroy all my work. It's not about you. It's about you ministering to the praise dancers and their spiritual growth so they can keep going. So again, if it comes to that point, I truly suggest that, you know, you just give it your position or take a sabbatical. And there's 3 reasons why you should take a break. We should take a break because it distorts the image of the praise dance ministry. People will begin to think, well, it's not a ministry, it's just a hobby and activity to last throughout the year, just to give us something to do. And dance ministry shouldn't be seen that way. Number 2, another reason why you should quit, you begin to hinder and become a stumbling block to the praise dancers. There was time where, you know, they looked at you for direction and answers as to the purpose of the praise dance ministry, but once you stop doing that, you affect their growth and their outlook, so you really don't want to do that. And the last one, we allow laziness, pride, and selfishness to take root. When we begin to stop caring about the ministry, they begin to stop caring about the ministry, and then, you know, you begin to see them leave one by one and then in groups, and then, you know, the praise dance ministry, it begins to dismantle. So those are just signs of clues and symptoms of, you know, you becoming useless as a praise leader. Again, if you want to quit, please take a sabbatical or let somebody else, you know, take over the position, because it's not being fair to praise dancers. Okay guys, I hope this was helpful. And again, today's topic was having God use you as a praise dance leader, the positive ways that you can be used, and then the negative effects of, you know, being useless to the ministry. Subscribe to this channel, click on the link if you want to be added to my email list, and I will continue this lesson next Friday, because there's so much information. There's 3 more topics that I really want to touch on and teach you guys. Okay guys, be blessed and have a good Labor Day weekend. Take care.